I love Patrik Laine. I really actually do think he is such an interesting hockey player. He wears his heart on his sleeve. Now, sometimes that is going to turn people the wrong way. There's no doubt about that. It's going to kind of twist people. So yes, we did get some pretty interesting comments after the Columbus Blue Jackets beat the Montreal Canadiens, and we're going to get into that in this video. But yes, welcome back to Pixel Plus Hockey, guys. Thank you for following, liking, and subscribing. I really do appreciate that. So Laine essentially went really off about, he was essentially asked and alluded to why he ended up leaving Columbus anyway. Now, he essentially talked about the fact that, I think that the Columbus Blue Jackets got too used to losing. Wow. Again, when a player in the other organization says something like that, dude, that is obviously going to piss off all the other players on the other team, right? It is directly throwing shade at everybody, because it alludes to the fact that the leaders in the other dressing room are just saying, we just don't care kind of thing, which obviously isn't true, There is players in the NHL that, they obviously have been in losing organizations for a long time. And you can say lazy things like that to kind of allude to the fact that, maybe that's true. But these are very, very proud guys. You have to understand that. These aren't plugs. They're very proud guys. So obviously they're not, too used to losing. But I guess you could make the argument from a philosophical point of view, maybe in Buffalo they might have a bunch of good players, but they're just used to losing in general, right? So it just kind of seeps into the culture, and maybe that's what Laine was talking about with this comment. Now, Zach Werenski essentially completely clapped back. There's no doubt about that. I mean, he completely went off and called it, BS. He was saying, we were nothing but good teammates to him. I don't know why he would say stuff like that. And it didn't just really piss off Werenski. Obviously, it pissed off the entire Blue Jackets roster. Now, there's a couple ways of looking at this. You can look at this in the more light of the NHL is growing, and it has certainly more interesting players, I would say. The NHL has been criticized for a long time for being a league that it's boring almost. There's no drama, and some drama is actually okay sometimes. You know what I mean? It's actually okay to have something to listen to. And PK Subban was a player like that, a very interesting player, very, 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 very outgoing, if you understand what I mean. But this has been Patrik Laine for a while. Even when it dates back to when he was drafted, I remember him consistently as it got closer to the draft. I remember Patrik Laine being I should be drafted first overall. He said that multiple times, which is pretty that's spicy. You know what I mean? You don't generally hear that too much. Usually hockey players are humble and da-da-da-da-da-da. Even look at Connor McDavid, who is the best player in hockey by far. He is a very... he's like a hockey playing robot. You know what I mean? He could use to have a little bit more personality himself, if you understand what I mean. But again, I personally, when it comes to Patrik Laine, I personally like Patrik Laine. I think he's a really good player. I think he can shoot the puck. I think that, he's starting to get his life together, which is really, really good. And I'm obviously cheering for him there. And he wears his heart on his sleeve. Why wouldn't you like a player like that? But sometimes he will just completely go off. He'll just say something that you're like, damn. And again, here's the thing, though. I'll say another thing, that when you want rivalries, and you can make the argument that maybe this will make the Columbus Blue Jackets and Montreal Canadiens rivalry a little bit more spicy. You understand what I mean? That's not a bad thing, right? That's not a bad thing to have an interesting rivalry and really, really be able to have better games played between the Montreal Canadiens and Columbus Blue Jackets. But again, the Columbus Blue Jackets are really, really proud players. Obviously, this is going to piss them off because whether you like it or not, and I don't think that Patrik Laine meant this by his comments, but whether you like it or not, it's going to piss off the leadership in the other room. Like, it doesn't, it doesn't matter. Like, these guys are not going to take that well because that's a direct front to them. I mean, think about it. If you were the leadership in the Columbus Blue Jackets locker room, would you really want to say that team got too used to losing? Like, the coaches, GM, and players are probably all furious at that. They don't want to be known as that. Now, that doesn't mean the Columbus Blue Jackets are good. It doesn't mean that Patrik Laine's comments are completely wrong. He could still have a point. There are organizations that do just lose so friggin' much that they just, they're just losing every season. You just know that team isn't going to make the playoffs, right? Like, when it comes to Buffalo, it's just a guaranteed miss the playoffs team. You know the teams that are going to make the playoffs, and you know the teams that aren't. And that does seep into the culture of your organization. It's an absolute fact. Like, how can you deny that? But listen, this is a breath of fresh air. After Patrik Laine got his knee injury, I was really, really worried to see that he might miss the season. Now we're seeing him score some goals, get out there, have some fun, beak a little bit. Like, I don't think the Montreal Canadiens are going to be obviously a very good team this year. I mean, you never know. Maybe they could surprise us and go on a bit of a winning streak here. I doubt it, but Patrik Laine is going to be an important player for them going forward, and obviously he really likes being there. So hey, I'm all for it, no problem. Anyways, I am going to leave the video there, guys. If you can make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. And have a great day. Goodbye, guys.